Good afternoon, and thank you so much for tuning into day 4 of the March Love Your Lettering demonstrations. It's my pleasure to be here. If you have any questions, you can certainly send me an email or message me on Twitter or Instagram, where I'm at CreativLEI. Good afternoon! So we have made it to the first catch-up day. Thanks for coming on in. I'll give you guys just a minute. Hi, Kim. Hopefully your week has been awesome. I think I would gladly say that my week has been pretty incredible. Hello and welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry I'm running a couple minutes late. I will humbly admit that I am currently caught up in a book. I have teenage children now, and so I'm kind of learning how to be a parent of teenagers, and part of that is wanting to understand the entertainment that that invites them. And so I have been reading the Hunger Games series, and I'm on the last book, and I'm halfway through, so I kind of got caught up in the story. Hi guys, you're catching some replays. Well, excellent. I'll go ahead and introduce myself and get started. My name is Lisa. I blog at CreativLEI.com. Looking at life creatively is very fun. And so this month we are going through live demos of a series I previously wrote last fall, 31 Days to Love Your Lettering. And I'm doing afternoon and evening demonstrations of the day's assignment, and kind of following pretty closely to the schedule as it was written, because as it so happens, this month runs very close to what last October did. So it's kind of working out nice. And today actually is the first catch-up day. And throughout this month, I'm going to use the Fridays and Saturdays as the catch-up days instead of Saturdays and Sundays. Friday nights, my husband is involved in our high school youth ministry, and so he won't be here in the evenings, which means all my children are home and awake and loud because it's the weekend, and getting some time on air would not really work on a Friday night in this house. But Sunday afternoons and Sunday evenings tend to quiet down a little bit more as everyone gets ready for the school week. So each Friday and Saturday will be catch-up days, and it's kind of written into the schedule to kind of find a pattern. It gives you time to catch up on whatever we've covered during the week, and this will be a time for me to answer any questions that might have come up that hadn't gotten answered in the previous week. And then Sunday, I will probably broadcast Sunday through Thursday. Fridays being a little up in the air depending on what the atmosphere here looks like with all the children home, especially towards the end of the month when they'll be home on spring break. It might get a little chaotic, but I think that we'll be so far into our routine then as far as the lettering goes that hopefully it will be okay. I've been trying to work on keeping these scopes about 20 to 30 minutes long so that hopefully it's not taking up too much of your time throughout the day. Because I know that time comes as a premium, and it's never my intention to grab your time and not make it valuable. So here we stand after 3 days of sessions. The first day we put together our notebook, and made an affirmation page. The second day we wrote some handwriting samples in our natural handwriting, and then yesterday we talked about basic letter forms and using drills of those forms to kind of get a grasp at what the foundation of our handwriting is. And in the coming week, we're going to continue with either pencil or fine pen, and talk about refining handwriting. So going back to like basic penmanship that you may remember from elementary school, but we'll try to make it a little more enjoyable, because of course now we're doing it by choice. We're not being assigned it by a teacher who's going to hammer us on homework, because I'm not going to hammer you on that. It's something that I hope that you enjoy doing, and I'm just looking to give you a framework of how to get it started. Then we're also going to talk about altering your handwriting, what types of things you can alter. Sorry, I'm looking through my notebook so that I can get that for you. So we'll break down the anatomy of what makes up a letter and talk about how those parts and pieces can be altered to change our handwriting. And then we will we'll add whimsy, how those altered pieces can become whimsical. and then we are going to do faux modern calligraphy and faux typography, which is kind of what most people are getting involved in as they start to do hand lettering and journaling and that type of thing, and we'll add some color as well. So that looks like more than 5 days, doesn't it? Sorry, I'm kind of looking at the schedule and trying to keep it all organized. But so this afternoon I figured I would jump on just to explain how the catch-up weekends work, because this weekend there's really not a whole lot to catch up on because there were only those 3 days. But if you do have questions, I would love to be able to answer them at this time. In the coming weekends, we'll use one day as a catch-up day if you've missed something throughout the week, and then that next day or Saturdays to kind of browse some quotes or pangrams. Pangrams are sentences that use every letter of the alphabet at least once in one sentence, and we'll use those to practice what we've learned in the previous week. So, you know, obviously we've not done anything other than basic forms so far, so there's really not much to practice unless you want to go back over and practice those forms. But as the weeks build, you'll have a lot more to draw upon to go ahead and practice. So, but I would like to use this afternoon if you had any questions about what we've done so far or what we're going to do in the coming week. That way it helps keep our chatting down during the demonstration so that I can stay sort of on point. At least I try. You have to get them all in. You're starting a fresh journal. Awesome. Yeah, you've got time, and that's why, like, I've gotten a couple messages from people wondering if it's too late to join, and it's not too late. Each weekend is a catch-up time, so really you can pick up at any point in the series, because you may find that the lessons are so short that you can do a couple in a day, so it shouldn't keep anyone from starting if they really would like to. And that's about all. So I'll just stay on a few more minutes in case you guys have questions. Thanks, Jenny. I've enjoyed it too. I know it may get a little hairier, you know, towards the end of the month trying to get in 2 sessions. But we're going to take it as it comes. Graph paper instead of line paper. I do prefer graph paper, and you'll notice that it becomes important, especially in the coming week, when we talk about opening up letters and working on proper formation of basic print and basic cursive. Because I find that on just a regular lined journal, we may tend to run our words together and kind of cramp that counter space and things like that. So when we're working on a grid paper, it kind of forces us to open up this letter a bit, especially if you tell yourself, like, okay, I'm going to put 1 letter in each box. It kind of gives you a good framework to work in without having to draw in the line. So graph paper for me becomes very useful for that, to kind of get to know what some good counter space would be. So hopefully that helps you guys too. And I guess graph paper must be catching on, because it seems like the graph paper notebooks are sold out everywhere around here. So I think other people are in on my little secret. Calligraphy markers different than the dual brush pens. Yes, they are. And I'll get to that. Do I have a video on bullet journaling? Not yet. And when affirmation pages, do we try different styles? I did, because I've already kind of, you know, I'm building up my repertoire of handwriting styles. And I built that page over the course of the month. I did not put all those words on there in the beginning. So it was kind of like each week as I went on, as I thought I needed more reminders of things, I went ahead and drew another phrase on there to remind myself. The difference between the brush pens and calligraphy markers. So I don't have everything in front of me. Let me grab something from my desk. Sorry about that. Ooh, bright light. Okay. So the calligraphy markers, this is the Zig calligraphy marker, and it has a 5mm broad tip on one side, or chisel tip, and it has a 2mm chisel tip or broad tip on the other side. And they're felt tip markers. EK Tools puts out a similar one that has a 3.5 and a 2.0mm. And the dual brush pens have a felt tip brush on one side and a bullet point on the other. So they're used for different styles of lettering. The calligraphy marker is used a week from now, and then the brushes are used after that. I will tell you that I don't personally start with the brush pens, because as a lefty, these are a little bit harder to manipulate. The brush pens I highly recommend are the Tombow Fudenosuke pens, which are a fine brush. I don't know if you can see that. You can hold them next to each other. So you can see the difference there. The dual brush are a little bit harder to get accustomed to writing so big. Didn't get the calligraphy markers since it looked so similar. Yeah, I will show you. Okay, so these are strokes using a calligraphy marker, because what we're after is that broad tip. And so we'll do a week of work with the calligraphy marker. So just a little peek ahead. And then the brush, when we use the brush, we actually start with pencil. I do use the Fudenosuke Soft is actually really nice. Any particular brand, really whatever you can get your hands on. I have a few different ones. I have the Zig calligraphy dual tip. I believe this might be from either Michaels or Target. This is the EK Tools dual tip, and this was from Target. And I also have the Pigma calligraphy markers. Those I got from Michaels. Those are a different tip. They're not a felt tip. They are, I don't know if it's nylon or it's like a plastic molded tip, but they're actually quite different. I like them, but they do take some work. They're not as forgiving as the felt tip calligraphy markers are, but I like kind of the rough finish that they give. I'm looking to see if I have a sample of it in my book. Actually, I've used them in my Bible. Tuesday morning might have some of the markers too. Ah, sorry, I missed a question. I wanted to show. So, better to leave time between lessons. I think so, because especially as you're kind of building up the muscle memory in your hands, you might want to space out the lessons, because you could get hand cramps doing it, and that would not be fun. You wouldn't want to continue. So this calligraphy here, you can see, has a lot of kind of open space in it. That was with the Pigma calligraphy pens, which are a more rigid tip. Difference between calligraphy pen versus the marker. Yes. Calligraphy pen, as in the metal nib and dip ink, there's a big difference. The felt tips will not give you as fine of a hairline as a metal nib would give you. I also use parallel pens, which are a type of broad nib pen as well. That's actually a good medium for me as a lefty, because the ink will flow. Because the plates are parallel, the ink flows whether you push or pull the pen, and as a lefty, I'm a pusher. And a regular dip pen doesn't work that way. All it does is scratch the paper, which is not fun for anybody. So we'll start after a week of fine point, or like fine tip pen, this coming week. Then the calligraphy pen will be the week after. And if you don't have a calligraphy marker or a calligraphy pen to work with, no need to worry. Yeah, how about if I remind you of the pen type we'll use in the coming week on the Fridays? So Fridays, I'll probably just do a short question and answer broadcast, and not give a new lesson, because I think Fridays and Saturdays I will not demonstrate a new lesson, because it'll be the catch-up time. Does that seem to work for everybody? Give me a thumbs up if it does, or tap some hearts, because it's kind of new trying to learn a different format, kind of moving to landscape, and finding a schedule that works for all of us. Thank you. So yeah, so Friday I'll do like just a quick question and answer period. That way I can remind you of what pen we'll be using in the coming week, and that should hopefully, or maybe I'll even give the reminder Thursday night and then talk about it more on Friday. Thank you. I appreciate that. And if you don't have a calligraphy pen and don't want to order one yet, don't worry about it, because I will show you how to tape two pencils together so that you can practice getting the angles that you would need for a broad nib pen anyway. So How about a picture of the pens for Instagram coming? That is a great idea. Yeah, I will definitely do that. That's like kind of a heads up homework warning, I guess. So I'll do that and I'll post them. We'll figure out how that works probably at some point this week. So I will definitely do that. That's a good one. Thanks for that suggestion. Do you guys have any other questions for this afternoon? I'm not sure that I'll be back on at 9:30 just because, like I said, Friday nights around here get a little chaotic because everybody's home and awake except for my husband, so there's no one to wrangle the children upstairs. But if I hop on, it'll just be for a few minutes to check in, and probably tonight I'll try to do that to explain to the night crew what we'll be doing in the coming weeks. So, any thoughts from this first week? Have you found it to be easy to go through? You'd love to see side by side in the picture the Japanese name versus the brush. I don't know I don't know how to write in Japanese. I have a YouTube channel and I don't use it. My hope is that through this series, when I'm doing the demonstrations without much chat, I might be able to move some of the videos over. Next week, you just need any type of fine tip pen. Yes, fine tip or ballpoint, whatever is your preference, or even a pencil. I missed the question that was right under that, but I'll check on catch, unless you want to put it back in. I'm so sorry. I try to get them fast, but I think sometimes Periscope holds onto the comments and then it blasts a bunch of them at the same time and they fade before I can read all of them. So thank you for bearing with me as I try to catch up on those. So I'll give it, just choose to do the October. Thank you. I was wondering if I should. The Tambo one, you don't know how to write that. Oh, Fudenosuke? I know how to pronounce it. For those of you that don't know, I am a Tombow brand ambassador, which means I get to try out samples of some of their products. But if you've been with me for a while, then you know that that I've loved Tombow products for a long time. So it was just kind of a natural fit when they invited me to be a brand ambassador. It just means I get more excuse to play with their tools. Yeah, and that's what I had heard. I'd heard feedback from a lot of people that said that they hadn't finished in October, or they just found it over the winter, and they knew that the videos were on there, but it wasn't the same. They really appreciated the live demo. So we're kind of trying to run that maybe once a quarter as I work to develop new things as well. So let's see. But yeah, all the pens that I've used and recommend are either in the supply list that comes, it's one of the prequel links to the series, and then towards the end of the series I talk about products that I love and why, and most of the brush pens that I most favor are listed in there. So hopefully that helps. So, will by working series on the weekends? No, we'll take Fridays and Saturdays off as catch-up days, which means no new instruction. So for Fridays, you can catch up on anything you missed in the week prior, watch the replay videos, which I have to go check out Catch because someone was saying that it doesn't show the videos in landscape. So I'll see how I can make that work a little bit better. But like I said, my hope is to move some of these over to YouTube for those that wish to watch it there. And then Saturdays, what you'll use is the techniques that we've learned throughout the week. You will either write pangrams, which are sentences that contain all 26 letters of the alphabet, or a favorite quote and stuff, and that will just kind of, it gives you a chance to put to practice the things that we've covered throughout the week. Like sometimes, I know, like last fall, what I did was I took inspiration from sales flyers and things like that. You're waiting on Amazon supplies. Yeah, it's like they come really quick until you're actually waiting for them, and then it seems like they take forever. So that's, you know, just pulling inspiration, and that's how I've built my Pinterest board. Hello, little one. So she's coming down, which means her TV show must be over. And it means my quiet is ending. Find the info to get started. Let me turn the camera to show you that for those that might be new here. Okay. sorry, moving pens out of the way. So if you're looking for where to find me, CreativLEI.com is my website. /loveyourlettering brings you to the introduction of all things lettering by me with a link to the 31 Days to Love Your Lettering series. You can find me on Facebook at /CreativLEI. Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, I'm at CreativLEI on all those places. Pinterest, Creatively Made, and you'll find that I have a lettering and penmanship board on there as well. And the replays of Periscope, once the 24 hours are gone, you can find me, catch.me/CreativLEI. I know there's no YouTube here because I have not used it very well up till this point, so we'll see if I can get on that. So if no one else has any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast. So I have some school children that will be coming home shortly, and it's about to get real loud. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it, and it's as much of a blessing to me, if not more, that you guys join with me, especially those that have come back from the October series, because you are eagerly waiting for some new lessons, and we'll get to that. I think once our housing chaos dies down a little bit, I'll be able to concentrate on putting up some shorter series that go a little bit deeper. Catch.me/CreativLEI is where those replays are, and usually the videos that kind of coincide with blog posts, I do try to embed those in there so that they can be found easily, and I'm going to start making use of Catch's collections. Maybe I'll work on that on the weekends, making sure I move everything into its proper collection so that hopefully you'll be able to find those very easily. Thank you guys so much who've tuned in this week. The sharing, the hearts, I appreciate it all. And I look forward to chatting with you guys more next week as we learn even more about improving our handwriting as we get ready for some creative lettering. You guys have a great weekend. I will talk to you soon.